Hello and welcome to another video from me, Rough Swordsman, Wargamer. It's an open the box and it's a special unboxing of a pre-release copy of a brand new game from Vuca Simulations, and it is 1812, Napoleon's Fateful March. And this game is designed by Brian Asklev, and once again I must thank Vuca Simulations for sending me this early copy, which at the time of videoing this is not due for release until June 2024, so we can give you a sneak preview of what's inside. I'll also leave a link in the description to Vuca Simulations webpage so you can check it out for yourself. So, what's all this about? The situation? 1812. Most of Europe is under Napoleon's control, and Napoleon is poised to invade Russia and force them to comply with his continental system and block British trade. In the face of overwhelming force, the Tsar reluctantly decides to fall back and adopt a scorched earth strategy. Faced by an elusive foe, the French were forced into advancing ever deeper into Russia and all the way to Moscow itself, even though their logistics system was falling apart under the strain. The infamous retreat back from Moscow was the culmination of the campaign and the turning point of the Napoleonic Wars. Will Napoleon and the hitherto undefeated Grande Armée crush the Russian army and capture Moscow, or will they be punished for their hubris in the vast expanses of Russia? So the game, 1812, Napoleon's Fateful March, is a two-player game that simulates Napoleon's invasion of Russia at the operational level. It is an easy-to-play, card-driven system that utilizes secret order placement, which ensures constant tension and little to no downtime. As befits the historical campaign, the game features a strong focus on logistic planning and march attrition with a set of simple but highly narrative mechanics. Here it says Marshals and Quartermasters Series, Volume 1, so looks like there's others in the pipeline. But in the box we've got one board, 75 by 56 centimeters, 101 cards, 2 player aids, 14 leader screens, 4 counter sheets, 1 sticker sheet, 1 rulebook, 1 playbook, 54 blocks, 21 wooden markers, 4 custom dice, and 14 standee holders. Sounds intriguing. The game features unit scales of divisions. The time scale, 1 turn is 1 month. Map scale, point to point, approximately 70 kilometers between each point. Playing time, 2 to 6 hours, and players, 2 players. So designer, as we just mentioned, Brian Asklev, developer and art director, Patrick Gerhardt, the artist, and I will probably murder his name, and I shall say it as Votif Shoetetten, and that name is familiar to me because he designed the wargame book Dreaded Flags, and if you've missed that, open the book. I'll leave a link up there for you to check out. And the rules proofing was done by Julius Brunken. On the game meter, the complexity is 4 out of 10, so not too bad at all. Unfortunately for solo players, the solitaire suitability is only 1 out of 10 because I assume there's lots of hidden information. And it does say down here, ages 14 plus. Just a quick note here, if you are going to PunchedCon, which is a convention over here in the UK in Coventry in May 2024, Vuca Simulations will be there, and I dare say they'll be bringing this game for you to have a look at and indeed to have a little go with. So bear that in mind. Right, let's get the shrink wrap off. The shrink wrap is off, and it's a fairly heavy box, and it's about, well, just over 2.5 inches in sort of depth, 6.5 centimeters. Right, let's open the box. And here we are. Here's the rule book. So let's have a look at that. Full color, glossy paper, as you can see by the little bit of glare we've got here. It comes in at only 19 pages. Now, this is a new game for me as well, and I haven't had a chance to have an in-depth look at the rules. So, dear viewer, we're both looking at it for the first time. So, we've got the credits here, contents and components, and there's a little note to players here. This rulebook is structured, so it first explains the basic terms and concepts of the game, and then explains the rules by going through the sequence of play in detail. Note: text in blue italics letters are designer notes or historical notes explaining aspects of the rules, and examples are given in brown italics in the rulebook. So we start off with terms and concepts, explaining those, how the dice work, and the difference in the counters. French, Allied, Prussian strength points are marked with a small black and white flag, while the French, Allied, Austrian strength points are marked by a small red and yellow flag, so you can distinguish between the two. So you've got a fresh and exhausted side areas of the map. So yes, looks pretty comprehensive, explaining all the bits and pieces on the map, depot markers, and so on. Different type of orders you can give. An example of a leader here, the Standies. Although if you don't like the Standees, the game comes with leader counters that can be used instead. And devastation. Think about the deck now. Each side had its own deck. You have must-play cards, victory points, false pull, and French casualties. And now we've got an extended sequence of play. And I dare say this will be reproduced on Play Aid. So it starts with the resources phase, tells you how all that works. And through turns 1 to 5, you repeat the following 14 steps for each turn. So draw a card, play a card for additional orders. You then select your order, place them, execute orders. That explains all the different orders. We've got forced march. And I'm trying to leave a little gap between turning the pages, so if you wish you can pause the video to get a bit more info. Cavalry patrols, march orders, evade orders, and then resolve battles. How that all works. Victory point shifts. Tide battles, retreat. If you play one or more battle event cards, you can draw a card into your hand. Increase devastation. And another execute orders, rally. Cossack raid. Place depot. Attrition. Then you have to check for lines of communication, and then end of turn. There we go. Them's the rules. Next, we've got the playbook, which comes in at 22 pages, and contains, amongst other things, the scenarios. 6 scenarios in total. So we've got scenario 1, the Eagles' march on Smolensk. The Eagles' march on Moscow. Scenario 3, the Grand Campaign. This is it. The Grand Campaign covering the entire 1812 campaign. So each one's got a little bit of background history. Any special rules? So this has got a lot more info, setups and all that sort of thing. Follow victories for scenario 4. Shows you how to set that up. Battle of Smolensk campaign start. Set up for that. Scenario 6, the retreat of the Grande Armée. Oh, this is good to see. Dice and deck stats, so you can do a little bit of mental maths, bit of card counting. Got some player notes here for both players and for the Russians and the French. A little bit of history there with designer notes and a bibliography at the back. And that's the playbook. Next, a couple of bags of wooden blocks. I assume these are the French and these the Russian. And a sticker sheet for them. There are some cubes for both sides. Then the dice. We've got a couple of custom dice here and a D6. And it appears that they're now using wood for their dice because this is the same die we got in Traces of Hubris. Next, there are 4 counter sheets, and here's the first one. Pre-rounded, punch out easy, that we're used to now with Vuca simulation games. Nice thickness to the card. So here's the French troops, got some leaders here. And the other side, here's counter sheet 2, showing some more leaders as standees. Some of the Russian troops here. Counter sheet number 3, some of the Russian leaders, some more admin counters and Russian troops. Here's the back of counter sheet 3. And here's the last counter sheet. And here are the optional leader counters in case you don't want to use the standees. And the other side. 2 player aid cards showing the sequence of play. 2 copies, of course, one for the French, one for the Russians. Let's have a look at one of those. I think they're virtually identical except for the card options at the bottom, which are different, of course, for the Russians. So here's your sequence of play. And on the other side, we've got battle resolution, combat values, battle table, attrition table, whether or not you're going to pursue after battle, what happens with tied battles, retreating, victory point shifts, and as per normal with Vuca games, a nice chunky piece of card. And then 2 other player aids, both identical. So let's have a look at one of those. Here we've got the French leader abilities, the Russian leader abilities, and the weather table. And on the other side, a helpful map legend and some explanation of the card icons. Next, we've got those leader screens. So let's have a look at these. Here are the French leader screens, so let's have a look at one of those. So this obviously folds back so you can hide information from your opponent, and I'm not sure if you put orders here or it says units, so things are hidden. It also tells you their abilities, and the other side what your opponent sees. And here are the Russian leader screens. Here's our Alexander the First. So again, they'll be hiding things behind that. There we are. Here's a bag of those Standees, if you decide to use those. And then we've got two decks of cards, one for the French, one for the Russians. So let's have a look through those quickly. Here's the Russian deck, and they are quite nice quality. They sort of slip easily past each other, which is always a good sign. I don't know much about what's going on with them. This seems to be a dummy card. And yeah, like the old artwork on the cards. So card-driven games seem to be very much in vogue at the moment. So there we are. Or is it card-assisted in this example? Here's the French deck. Their dummy. Nope, flanking. Must play immediately. That's one of those we saw in the rulebook. Oh, lethargic pursuit. There we are. And the last thing in the box is the mounted map. Let's have a look at that. Don't panic. This isn't the playing side of the map. I just wanted to show you the other side, the side you will probably never see. But Vuca Simulations have decided to put some decoration on it, and that makes it a cut above some of the others, I think. Anyway, here's the proper side. Again, I got most of it in. We'll have a sort of move around so you can see the rest of it. It's point to point. Up here we've got the Russian force pull box. And yep, quite a good looking map. Down the bottom we have the French force pull box and French casualties. Over in the bottom right hand corner we've got, I assume these are the turn tracks for the different months, with initiative track here. And along the right hand side we have the victory point track. Not much in the way of detail, but we'll have a quick zoom into the center just to let you have a look close up. So here's Smolensk. Not a lot of detail, but a very clear point-to-point map. Right, that's everything in the box. So this has been an Open the Box, an unboxing and a sneak preview of Vuca Simulations' brand new Napoleonic game. 1812, Napoleon's Fateful March, designed by Brian Askleff. And as I said at the beginning, not available at the time of this video going out until June 2024. But if you're at PunchCon actually in a couple of days at the weekend, you'll be able to have a crafty look yourself and maybe even a playthrough. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and you found it interesting. If you did and you haven't done so already, it would be wonderful if you would consider subscribing to the channel. Really helps the little channel. And if you would be so kind as well, another very helpful thing you can do is to push the like button, the thumbs up, directly underneath the video here. That tells the algorithm all about what we get up to. And if you want to be informed of other content the channel uploads, then push that bell, but make sure you push all notifications. As always, I encourage you to leave a comment. What do you think? Again, not very friendly for solo players, but I know there's a lot of gamers out there that solo suitability is neither here nor there. But let me know, what do you think? I may not be able to reply in length to all of them, but as you know, I love to read them. Thanks as always to my subscribers. Thank you so much for sticking and putting up with me. And just before I go, if you wish to support the channel a little bit further, well, you can buy the channel a coffee, and there's a link for that in the description. Or if you wish, you can push the super thanks button underneath the video. If you decide to do that, let me assure you that those small but important donations just help to keep the channel ticking along, so thank you. Right, looks like I've got some stickering to do, so I better get on with that. And I hope to see you in the next video. But until then, as always, you take care and goodbye.